Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to take a look at the Transformers Legacy Evolution Core Class Optimus Prime and Bumblebee 2-pack. Let me know what you think of this 2-pack in the comment section down below. Is it a pickup or a pass? Now let's take a look at the figure's packaging. So here we have the packaging. Starting at the very front, we have Transformers on the side. We have the Legacy Evolution logo at the bottom of the box. We have a huge artwork shot of Optimus Prime and Bumblebee in both their alt modes. We also do have Optimus Prime and Bumblebee in white text with a white Autobot symbol. If we do look at the top of the box, we have another Legacy Evolution logo with two product shots of Optimus Prime and Bumblebee in both their alt modes. If we do turn to the side here, we really just have a kind of a continuation of that same artwork from the front of the box. If we do turn to their side, we have half of the Legacy Evolution artwork. And if we do look at the back of the box, both figures transform in 11 steps. We have product shots of Optimus and Bumblebee in both their robot and alt modes, and quite a few other product shots showing off the many features in this pack that I will be covering in this review at some point. And that is pretty much it for the packaging, so let's now get into the review. So here we have Optimus and Bumblebee in their robot modes. Let's take a look at the details. I'm going to start off with taking a look at Optimus. I'm just going to move Bumblebee off to the side for now. So starting at the very top with the head sculpt, we have some really nice blue for the entire helmet section with some silver at the crest, and the mouth guard with some blue for the eyes, some silver for the little smokestacks at the shoulders with a very classic Autobot symbol on that shoulder done in red and some white outline. I do like the bright blue for the entire windscreen or kind of the entire torso chest section here with some really nice sculpted in floodlights and some silver for the entire kind of stomach region or abs section here. I do like these small sculpted in windshield wipers also done in red with some really nice nut and bolt detailing. We actually do have the little kind of mirrors sculpted in from the truck mode. I actually kind of like how you can see them in this mode. I do like the entire yellow section here, kind of where the hips are or the little hip panels are. We actually have some white for the crotch and the top of the legs, and some really nice kind of glossy shiny blue for the feet and the rest of the legs. I do like the kind of layered paneled effect at the front of the legs. And if we do look at the side, we actually have the wheels from the truck mode, which actually really don't look that bad. We do like the silver for the front of the wheel or the center of the wheel, and there's some really nice black for the entire itself with some really nice sculpted indents. And if we do fully to the back, overall not looking too bad. Of course, there is a few hollow gaps here and there, but you do have to keep in mind this is a core class figure, so the budget is significantly lower than that of a deluxe, Voyager, or Leader. So I typically do kind of lower my standards for most aspects of the figure, like the articulation, you know, of course, the kibble, the hollowness. So it really doesn't bother me that much, of course. Also, this is just a repaint of the original Kingdom core class Optimus. So if you have that figure, you kind of know to expect for the gaps, you know, the backpack, the articulation. So no real surprise here. And unfortunately enough, and interesting enough, this figure actually does have a bit of a defect. This could really just be my copy. I've actually watched quite a few reviews of this pack and this figure before I even got it, and quite a few people have actually been complaining about the same problem I'm about to tell you. So this entire back section here is actually supposed to be quite a bit more flush. This section is actually supposed to be able to tap into pretty much the butt region or the waist region of the figure. Actually, as you can see, there is a slot and a tab there, but it really doesn't line up. Like, you can tab into place, but if you do, it just sticks out even further from the front point of view of the figure. So it really cannot tab in all of that securely, because there's actually quite a few areas how this entire section is supposed to tab in. There's actually a tab there and a slot there, and of course that one I already mentioned. There's also actually one on the other side of this panel. It's actually supposed to tab in pretty much the entire front grille section of the truck, but it doesn't line up. There's just several areas that it just really doesn't work. So it's a bit weird, considering I was thinking they were just going to use all the same pieces from the original, you know, Kingdom core class Optimus. I thought they were just going to add, you know, a few paint apps, make it look a bit more G1-y, more classic, and that was it. But I think they probably changed some piece or some molding in this entire back area here for this to actually happen. Again, this could just be, you know, a few copies, but I've watched 4 or 5 reviews so far, written and video reviews, and quite a few people have actually been complaining and talking about this problem. I'm not sure if it varies, you know, amongst the copies. Maybe some people can actually get it a bit more collapsed and tabbed in than mine. I really don't know, or it could be all the same. Hopefully it's not a widespread problem, but it kind of seems like that and appears that to me. As far as the whole defect goes, it really wouldn't, I would say, affects the remote mode or the truck mode. It really doesn't, you know, prevent you from transferring transforming it or doing, the basic functions of the figure. Like it can still, hold a pose. It can still have accessories. Really, the only area that it affects is kind of the clean, the good look or the cleanliness of the back of the figure. It just looks a bit more messy than you would typically see for this figure. I will do a bit of a kind of a backpack comparison with the Kingdom and the Legacy Nemesis Prime and Optimus Prime, and the comparison of it. And of course, I'll show you how different they are, but that'll be a little bit later. So now for articulation, of course, the head can look side to side. The arms can move out and in, forward and back. There is a bicep rotation and elbow bends. There is no wrist rotation. There is no waist rotation. And all of the articulation is the same, of course, from the previous repaints of this mold. None of the defect actually gets in the way or stops the articulation, in case you're wondering. As far as the legs are concerned, of course, they can kick forward, back, out to the side. There is a knee bend and some slight rotation at the top of the knee and the top of the leg. There is no ankle pivots or toe pivot. I'd say it's overall pretty good articulation for core class. Again, I somewhat do kind of lower my expectations because they're, $10 or $12 figures, so I really don't expect as much as articulation as, a Voyager or Leader or Deluxe. But still, I think it's a pretty fun, really well-detailed figure. So now for accessories, it actually does come with quite a few, so it's really up to you, I would say, to choose, which combination or what two accessories you can actually store with this figure, because it comes a lot more than two, and there's really only two, I'd say, ways or places you can actually store them on the figure. That's in the arms or the hands. There's really no storage on the back of the figure, so you really have to determine, which ones you like the most and which ones to leave off to the side or which ones to store in the trailer. I actually have kind of my own combination that I came up with that I prefer that I'll show off and mention in just a sec, but let's just kind of quickly run through all the accessories and I'll let you know what I think. So of course, I have this really cool kind of riot shield, which I actually do like. There's some really nice kind of great venting detailing with some really nice nut and bolt detailing, and how this stores, you actually do fold in the hand like that. There is a port there and there is a post on the other side of the shield, and that just stores into place just like that. And I actually really do like this. If you don't already know, melee weapons are like my favorite. Axes, shields, swords have always been my favorite. Definitely more interesting and more cool than weapons or blasters, in my opinion. And whenever Hasbro does them, they do them right, and I actually think that looks really cool. As for the next weapon, we actually do have his standard typical rifle. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same mold as the one that came with the Kingdom release. I think the only thing that is different, I think the entire handle and ammo clip might be a different color. I think on the other one, they might have just been black or gray. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as a molding, of course, the exact same thing, and you can just store this in his hand like that. So that's one combination, which I think is pretty cool, and that is Blaster Piece compatible, in case you're wondering. And another accessory, you can actually remove the shield and you can actually attach this really cool Energon axe. And it is the same mold as the one that came with the Nemesis Prime repaint redeco of this mold. Of course, this time done that really nice kind of mustard orange color. Of course, with that figure was sort of a metallic blue, which I actually really do like. But molding wise, again, the exact same thing. This is definitely my preferred look. That is just my opinion anyway. I think maybe it would have been nice if they wanted to go the extra mile, considering this is a Hasbro Pulse exclusive. If they wanted to add, some sort of tab or slot or something to be able to, store the shield on the back, I think that would be a really cool thing. But to be honest, when this pack was first revealed, I was never even thinking of that being a part of this figure. That's, of course, more of a want rather than a complaint. I really was never expecting any mold change because, of course, this pack is really just to kind of upgrade, slightly change it. No new mold changes. But again, if they wanted to go the extra mile, I really would have liked that. As for some other accessories, he actually does come with a roller, which, of course, really isn't, placed or attached to the figure, but I thought I'd show it off now. So a cute little roller, kind of drone, which I think is pretty cool. Used several times in the G1 series, mostly done matte gray with some black for the wheels, which actually roll very well. We actually do have some really nice mechanical detailing underneath with some really cool kind of lines, some piping and stuff. I think it's quite fun. You can place them next to there if you want to, which I think is pretty cool. I do have a complaint for roller. Of course, really does not affect Optimus Prime at all. I'm just going to mention it now. Unfortunately, with the trailer that I'll show off in just a sec in this review, you actually don't have a specific place to store roller, when it's in its trailer form, which is a bit unfortunate because I'm pretty sure when we got a roller from the Centurion drone pack in Siege, you could actually attach that to Earthrise Optimus Prime's trailer. There was actually an assigned, post and port, like it could actually tab in place. And I really wish they'd done the same thing with this, because if you do store it in the trailer, it's just going to kind of flop around. There's no actually assigned tab or slot, which I think is a bit unfortunate. That, of course, really could just be to me, you might not be bothered by that at all. I was actually planning on storing roller inside the trailer. I actually might not do that now because I really don't want it, rolling around or, getting paint chips on it or damaging anything. I'll probably actually end up storing it on the outside of the trailer. Also, it's a very simple, easy fix. All they really need to do, was put like a slot on roller itself and maybe like a tab on the trailer. Unfortunately, they did not take that opportunity. But you can actually upgrade roller, which I think is pretty cool and fun. If you actually do take the entire sort of top turret section from the trailer, you can actually attach it using that post and port system like that, which I think is pretty fun, sort of upgrading it, making it a bit, more battle ready, with the whole little radar dish and the grabber and of course the 2 turrets, which are not Blast-Pace compatible in case you're wondering. I think that looks pretty cool side by side. And that is pretty much it for all the accessories for Optimus. Of course, I did leave the Bumblebee ones out because I will be talking about those and showing those, of course, when I actually take a look at Bumblebee in just a sec. So now for some comparisons, here he is with the original Kingdom Core Class Optimus Prime. And actually, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure this was the very first Core Class figure, so really has come full circle. And I think they look pretty cool side by side. And I'm pretty sure, mold-wise, they're the exact same thing. I think deco-wise, I think they just wanted to make it a bit more cartoony, more bright colors, more accurate, more classic, as you can see. Much more dark colors on this figure, which I do have to say, I never really realized how dark the blue and the red was until comparing it next to this figure. It's a huge difference. I'm actually quite surprised, but I think they look pretty cool side by side. I'm pretty sure the shade of blackish gray for the blaster is the same. And of course, this figure never came with a trailer or an energon axe, so there's actually quite a few added accessories and bonuses with this pack, so I'm actually really glad with that. As you can see, of course, the pants have definitely changed. The legs are a bit more simple on this one. There's actually some silver on the other one. I do want to quickly take a look at the backpack, because that is one thing that's just really weird. So as you can see, this section can actually tab into place in those ways that they actually set. You're supposed to tab it into, the waist, which of course that sometimes does come undone, as you can see, but it can actually reach that. It can actually tab into place. This one can only do one of like the 3 ways it can tab in. I've never actually been able to tab that entire back piece into all 3 ways at the same time because it just can't reach and it just can't tab into all of them. It usually just kind of comes on tabs or is just very loose. So, it's really weird. I really don't know what they changed to cause this, because again, as I said, I was really just expecting them to get this Kingdom release here and just add a couple paint apps and, some accessories, and that's it. But I think they probably added some new molding, some new piece. I really don't know. Again, this could just be my copy, but I've actually seen quite a few reviews and quite a few people talking about this, so it might be pretty widespread. Again, if you do get this figure, I don't want to discourage you from getting this pack. Yes, there is a bit of a defect problem, but I really wouldn't say it like ruins the figure or anything. It is kind of a shame, but again, I really wouldn't say it ruins the figure. I mean, even from the front profile, you can barely even tell there's a prom back there. So I think it's still a really solid release. Of the 2, decos, or of the 2 variations of this Optimus Prime, I actually probably have to prefer this one. I think it's just a bit more classic. I like the bright colors and the added accessories. Of course, please do let me know in the comment section down below of all 3 repaints of this mold, that being Optimus, or Nemesis Prime. Which one is your favorite? And speaking of Nemesis Prime, I will actually bring him out for a quick comparison. I think they look very cool side by side. And of course, between the 2 Optimuses, I prefer this one, but between these 2, I actually might prefer this one because I will always just really love an evil Nemesis Prime deck. I just think it looks so cool. And if you're wondering of the molding of the axes, they are the exact same thing. Of course, just paint up wise, they're different. I think they definitely could do some of the same treatment for Nemesis Prime here. Like maybe they could do another one of these, core class exclusive packs. Like they could get Nemesis Prime here because of course with the mainline release, he never came with that rifle. So they could give him his same, energon axe. They could give him a rifle because he never came with one. He could come with a trailer because he also never came with one. They could do some darker colors, same molding. They could just do it kind of like in black or purple this time instead of the light colors for Optimus. And maybe they could throw in another core class. Like, of course, this pack here came with 2 core classes, Optimus and Bumblebee. Maybe Nemesis Prime could come with Bumblebee and they could paint him in like a bug bite colors, or we could get like Skywarp and we could finally get our Null Race. Really, the ideas and possibilities are endless. I really do hope they do more of these. It doesn't have to be Nemesis Prime necessarily. Maybe they could pack all 6 of the core class Dinobots into one pack, add some new accessories, some paint apps. Honestly, I could go on and on of all the possibilities. I really do hope they continue this sort of subline exclusive thing, because I think there's a lot of options and opportunities for them to do that. But I think they look pretty cool side by side. And for one final comparison, here he is with Megatron. his arch nemesis, and I think they look very cool side by side. And that is pretty much it for Optimus. So let's now take a look at his pack mates, that being Bumblebee, and I think he looks pretty cool. I definitely do prefer Optimus of the two core class figures, just I think he's a better figure, but I actually still do quite like this figure. So there's some really nice silver for the face, the blue for the eyes, and there's the little classic Bumblebee horns done in yellow. I do have to say I much prefer the brighter yellow on this figure. I think the original release of this mold, which was a buzzworthy Bumblebee 2-pack, it also came with an exosuit Spike or Daniel. I think that was actually the very first buzzworthy Bumblebee figure we ever got. I think that was the thing that started off the whole subline. I'll bring out that Bumblebee in just a sec for comparison, but that figure had much darker yellow. I will have to say I do definitely prefer the black for the wheels rather than this gray. I don't like that at all, but I definitely do prefer the brighter yellow. I think it just looks a lot better. But I do like the very classic Autobot symbol on the chest with the blue for the entire front windscreen, and there's actually some more on the sides. And we do have the wheels, again, don't like the gray, it just looks a bit ugly to me. That's just my opinion, but I do like the yellow for the entire, forum, and some gray for the hand. I do love the silver for the front toes. They're actually the headlights in the alt mode. I think that's pretty cool. And if we do flip to the back, overall, pretty clean, pretty compact. Actually, probably less hollow gaps than Optimus. And we actually do have the little door wings here, which are pretty fun. And, you can pose them around, hinge them back if you want to for more of a dynamic pose. And speaking of poses and articulation, of course, the head can actually move side to side. It can actually also hinge in, mostly due to transformation, and it can slightly hinge back. As for the arms, of course, they can hinge out to the side, in, and all the way around. I do have to say, tolerance-wise, could be better. The ball joints are pretty loose on this copy, on this Bumblebee figure here. Optimus, his tolerances are actually really, really good, very tight. And of course, same for the other arm, a little bit loose, too loose for my liking. The legs, on the other hand, are a bit better. They can actually kick forward, back, out to the side. There is rotation at the top of the leg, and of course the foot can slightly pivot forward and back. There is no ankle pivot though, so again, pretty good articulation for core class. It's very small. You really do have to kind of lower expectations. It's not going to be the best articulated figure. I do think there are probably better articulated core classes, like Iguanus is really well articulated. I think they probably could have done more, but since this is really just kind of a repack, a repaint, you kind of know what to expect here. I know they weren't going to add any new crazy joints to these figures because they've already been released before. But overall, that's pretty much it for details and articulation. So now for his accessories, he does come with two, one being the same blaster that actually came with the original, the simple kind of gray blaster, which is not blaster piece compatible. This can just be stored in his hand like that, and I think that looks pretty cool. So as for this final accessory, truth be told, I'm not really sure if this blaster is supposed to be assigned to Bumblebee or if it's just some random blaster. I had a theory that I think they packaged this in it because it's supposed to be a more kind of cartoon accurate Bumblebee blaster. It looks a lot similar to the one that actually came with Masterpiece Bumblebee. I actually do have one of the Masterpiece Bumblebees. I think there's probably been multiple, but he actually had a very similar blaster to this, and I'm pretty sure in the Centurion Drone pack, there was also another blaster that looked pretty similar to this that was supposed to be given to Netflix Bumblebee. So I may be overthinking it. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think it's probably supposed to go to him, to Bumblebee, or it could just be some random weapon. I really don't know, but you can store this in his hand. It's actually a very, very snug fit. You do kind of have to wiggle it in there like that carefully. Just get it in there. And I'm pretty sure this one is blaster piece compatible. Again, this could be some random weapon that they just wanted to include. Truth be told, when I actually opened up this pack, I didn't even know this weapon was included. I was like, okay, what is this? I knew, all the other ones, the simple blaster there and all of Optimus's, but I was surprised to see this one. So I was actually caught off guard, but I think it's a good inclusion. But that's pretty much it for accessories. So now for one quick comparison, here he is actually with his mold mates, that being the original Bumblebee from the buzzworthy Bumblebee line. And this figure again did come with a small little spike, which was not included in this exclusive set. And please do let me know in the comment section below of the two repaints or variations of this mold, which one do you prefer? And I think I probably do prefer the kind of lighter one. I think this is a bit of a darker one. And I definitely do. One thing I like on this version over this one is the black. I definitely prefer the black wheels. Of course, that does mostly come into play for the alt mode, but it still just looks even better in this mode. I just don't like that gray. It just looks kind of unfinished and cheap somewhat to me, but I think they look pretty cool side by side. And that is pretty much it for Bumblebee and Optimus Prime. Let's now actually quickly take a look at the included trailer in its sort of kind of repair bay base mode. So here we have the trailer in sort of kind of repair bay base mode. Let's take a look at the details. So starting at the very front, we have some really nice scope work on the inside. You have to say this is probably one of my favorite trailers for Optimus Prime that Hasbro's actually put out in the past couple years. They did include a trailer with the Earthrise Optimus Prime, but I always thought that trailer was just so boring and bare. Pretty much all of it was just that kind of boring gray. Even the entire turret section here, we actually have some really nice paint apps and colors for this thing. I am aware, of course, most of this is just gray, but there's actually some really nice scope work, and it's really not that bad of a trailer for how cheap this set is. So really nice scope work, tons of little containers and compartments and stuff. All the accessories can actually store inside this thing, which I think is a really fun and nice feature. We do have the turret, which these two sections are not Blastoise compatible that I know of, which is, kind of unfortunate, but not really that big of a complaint. We actually do have this little claw here, and there is a bit of articulation in this turret. So the claw, of course, there is a hinge at the sort of midsection. There's also a ball joint at the base. As for the entire sort of a satellite dish or kind of a radar dish, this can actually hinge forward and back as well. There is also a hinge right where the turret is. The turret can also rotate all the way around. There's also a hinge at this entire midsection here, and there is also a hinge at the base. I do like all the articulation and movement with the turret, but I do think the turret should be tabbed in a bit better, because you actually can remove the entire turret section and tab it onto roller, which I did show earlier in the review, which is a fun and nice feature, but it's not tabbed in very securely. It's just that post and pour system, but it actually pops off quite easily. So if you saw me being pretty gentle with it, that's probably the reason why. So maybe that could have tabbed in a bit better, but overall I think this is a very fun base mode. And if you actually do look at the back, of course, we actually have the outside of the trailer there with the wheels. Overall looking pretty cool back here. So as I mentioned before, all the accessories can actually store on this sort of repair bay base mode. Unfortunately, except one. You actually cannot store Bumblebee's small little pistol, which I find a bit weird to me. I think maybe you could probably just use one of these instead, but as far as the actual specific placement goes, in the instructions they actually never show you storing the blaster, which I think is a bit odd, because all the other accessories can store except that one. I guess probably maybe they were just expecting you to always store it with Bumblebee. I think it would have been a nice feature, because all they really needed to do was just add another one of these ports and just put it in the corner, and then you could store the weapon there. I think that would have been a nice feature. Unfortunately, they did not take that opportunity, but all the other weapons can, which I'll show off right now. So the entire riot shield, there is two, of course, slots and two tabs, and that can just store into place like that. Sometimes it actually is helpful to hinge the little door down just to get it out of the way. So there's this entire kind of cutout right here. There's this little notch, which actually will slide into this little top section of the axe. There is 3 tabs. There's also, of course, 3 slots. Of course, they're the same on either side, and that's just going to slide into place like that. And there we go. That looks pretty cool. So now for the remaining weapons, the entire rifle can actually store on their side. It can be a bit tricky because it's pretty cramped at times, but the entire post will just store on that port, and the little ammo clip section will actually store in that slot right there. So it's just going to tab into place like that. Just got to line that up. I would advise probably not to tab in it all the way, because it might be pretty hard to get out later. So I'm just going to slightly peg it in there because I want to be able to remove it later. So now for the final weapon, the small little blaster or sort of like welding weapon. I'm actually not entirely sure what this weapon is supposed to be, but it pretty much stores in the exact same way. Of course, just the handle and the ammo clip just store in there. And that is it for all of the accessory storage. Again, I think they probably should have been able to store the Bumblebee weapon in there, but unfortunately they did not take that opportunity. But you can actually create some really cool poses and some displays if you actually do bring an Optimus. So how the instructions in the box show, you actually put him in there kind of in the center, so it looks like he's being repaired and protected with that turret there. You can have Bumblebee displayed on the sides, like keep watch so no one tries to attack Optimus, and then you can put Roller there as well next to him. And I think this creates for some really fun and cool displays and pictures. That is pretty much it for the repair bay base mode. Let's now get down to transformation. So now for transformation, we're going to start off by transforming the entire repair bay into the trailer. So what we're going to do is fold up the entire claw, fold down the entire kind of radar dish or satellite dish. You're just going to hinge the entire turret in and collapse that down. As you can see, there is a tab right there and a slot right there that's just going to tab into place like that. Then you're going to hinge both halves in. As you can see, there's corresponding tabs and slots that's just going to tab all together just like that. And there's actually an included stand. You can just hinge this out, and that's how you can actually display it without Optimus Prime. We're just going to move that off to the side for now. We're actually going to transform Bumblebee now. So what you want to do is hinge the arms up like that. And just to get some added clearance, you're actually going to hinge these little kind of door wings back. Then you can actually tab the feet and legs together and hinge or kind of collapse the feet down like that. Then you can actually go to the back, hinge this entire backpack section up. Also make sure to push the head in slightly. Then you're going to push this entire section. This is just going to fold all the way over the entire robot mode head like that. And then you're going to hinge the arm out and then hinge it in like that. Hinge it out and then in like that. Then you can get these entire sections here. As you can see, there's a small little slot and a tab. And of course, there is a port and there is a post. And that's just going to tab into place like that. Do the exact same thing on their side. That's just going to tab into place like that. And then you can just collapse the entire waist and legs together like that. So just make sure all this is nice and secure. And that's pretty much it for transformation for Bumblebee. So let's now move on to Optimus Prime. So what you're going to do is fold in the hands. Fold in the hands like that. Then you can actually flip to the back, push the entire head in like that. Then you can get this entire back panel here, fold this up and over. And then what you can do is actually get the entire top torso and chest portion, rotate that around. Then you can actually tab the legs together and hinge these back like that. Then you can get the entire front wheel section, hinge this all the way in like that. And then you're going to hinge the arms back and you're going to rotate at the bicep where that ball joint is and fold this in. And as you can see, there is actually an entire little port and there is a post right there, and that's just going to plug into place just like that. Do the exact same thing on the other side. Just fold this in like that and align all this up like that. And that is pretty much it for transformation for Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. Let's now take a look at the details. So here we have both Optimus and Bumblebee in their alt modes. Let's take a look at the details. I'm going to start off with Optimus. I'm just going to move Bumblebee off to the side for now. So just quickly taking a look at the details. We have some really nice silver for this entire front grille section here with some silver for the headlights. The small little sculpted and windshield wipers with some floodlights also done in red. I just like the blue for the windows or the windscreen. If we do turn to the side, I do like the really cool wheel design with the black for the tire with the little small indents with some silver for the center of the wheel. And pretty much the entire truck bed is actually quite clean. Unfortunately, one of the main problems with Optimus Prime figures from any scale, usually the entire truck bed is pretty much where they put all the cable and empty gaps, but actually not looking too bad, which is good to see. And overall, I think it's a pretty fun, cute looking truck, and it overall rolls pretty well across the ground. So now for accessory storage. So as I showed before, all the accessories, pretty much all of them, can store inside the included trailer, except Bumblebee's accessory, which can actually store on that vehicle mode, which I'll show off in just a sec. But if you don't want to put any of the accessories in that truck, or in the trailer, you can actually store a few of them on Optimus Prime's truck. Really only 2 of them, but it's still actually nice to have an option. So the entire axe, there is a little small slot on each side. Hopefully you can see that. And there is 2 tabs right there, and that's just going to slide into place just like that. It's not the most secure connection. It kind of just sits there, and for the most part actually does stay. As for the entire rifle or blaster, there is a post and there is a port at the back where the trailer hitches, and that's just going to plug into place like that. So those are really the 2 accessories. You can store all the other ones. I guess they pretty much expect you to store them in the trailer, which still, it's a nice option to have. I think that overall looks pretty cool. So now for some alt mode comparisons. Do keep in mind, I will have another comparison with Optimus Prime once he actually has his trailer attached. These comparisons right now, of course, are without his trailer. So for some comparisons, here he is with the original and Nemesis Prime. I think they overall look pretty cool together. And again, please do let me know in the comment section below of all 3 versions which one is your favorite. And kind of a side comparison here, as you can see, pretty much all of them do store the accessories in the exact same way. You know, Nemesis Prime does store the axe there, the original does store the blaster there. So yeah, overall pretty cool. And just putting those off to the side, I do want to quickly show you how we can actually attach the trailer and, of course, all the functions that the trailer does have. So you do have to remove the accessories and put those off to the side. You actually do have to use one of the accessories to be able to attach the trailer to the truck. So you actually have to use the shield. So this entire kind of slot section, you're actually going to get the feet, and that's just going to slide through. Also, there is this post underneath, and there is a port right there, and that's just going to plug into place. And this will kind of form the entire, I guess, trailer hitch for the truck. truck, which I think is pretty cool. I actually was really curious when this first was revealed. I was wondering, how are they going to attach the trailer to the truck? Are they going to have to, use some new tooling, or is there going to be a new piece? And I think that's a pretty creative way of using an accessory. And you can actually bring in the trailer, of course, flip up the stand, and there is a post there and a port right there, and then you can attach the trailer like that. And I think that's pretty cool to actually finally have the full effect. I think that looks really, really cool. And quickly getting into one comparison, and then I'll show off all the features. Here he is with the Earthrise Optimus Prime. Hopefully I can get them all in shots. I actually am going to bring out his trailer here, like that. And there we have both Optimuses side by side. And I think they look very cool next to each other. Definitely taking, some design cues from the actual truck and the trailer. As you can see, they both have that sort of sliding up angle with the Autobot symbol there. And I think they look pretty cool. And that is pretty much it for that comparison. So I'm just going to move all of that off to the side. So now for the many features this trailer does have, you can actually take the entire sort of turret section and arm and actually attach it onto the top. I probably will never use this feature. I'm just going to show up to you. I guess it's probably just to add sort of some protection and a turret on top of the trailer. It's a fun feature, but again, probably won't ever use it. How this works is, of course, there is 2 tabs on this piece and slots on the actual trailer, and that can just tab into place like that. I do have to say there is one major plus of doing this. If you do remove this entire turret section and the arm, it actually does allow access and extra space inside the trailer, so you can actually put more in there. If you do remove it, you probably will be able to put maybe Bumblebee and Roller inside at once, but if you do have that in there, I think you can only put maybe Bumblebee and not Roller as well. It's kind of a one or the other situation, so it does allow some extra space. So there is somewhat of a plus doing this, but it's an okay feature, I guess. And you can remove this. I'm just going to put that off to the side. So now for another feature, of course, as I mentioned before, you can store some figures and vehicles inside there. You do have to kind of split it open, bring it down the ramp, and of course close that back up, and then you can just store that right back on Optimus like that. And you can store some vehicles inside. So Bumblebee can fit inside there like that. And I guess no, this is actually one of the first few times I've actually tried to store Bumblebee inside, so I guess you can only put one vehicle in there. Probably maybe if you put Roller, you can maybe put a few of the accessories, some really small ones if you wanted to, but I think if you do store Bumblebee inside, that's the only thing you can do. But I think that's a pretty fun little feature, and I will show off how you can store Roller inside as well if you want to see that. So you can just, put Roller inside like that. Put him in there, which I think is pretty fun. Or you can have him, driving down the ramp, into battle, which I think is pretty fun. And let me just take him out. And then to close the ramp back up, you just open this up, flip this up like that, and close all of it up nice and secure. And that is pretty much it for Optimus Prime's truck and trailer mode. Let's actually move on to Bumblebee now. So I'm just going to put all this off to the side. So here we have Bumblebee in a small little kind of bug car mode. I think that looks really cute and cool. I do love the blue for the windows and the classic Autobot symbol up top. I do love the silver for the front headlights and that really nice kind of grayish black grille section there. And again, not a big fan of the tires. Interesting if the front ones are actually a pin, which is pretty cool to see on a core class, I will admit, but the color of them, not really liking that. I definitely prefer the black on the other figure or the other version of this mold. And some more blue at the back. Overall, a pretty cute, fun-looking car. So as for accessory storage, as I mentioned before, unfortunately, you cannot actually store his small little pistol inside the trailer. They just don't give that as an option. But you can store it underneath, which I think is really clever and fun storage. There is a small port right there, and there is a post right here, and that can just store inside like that. It can be pretty hard sometimes because there's very little space, but that just plugs into place like that, which I think is really good storage. But now for some comparisons, here he is with the original Bumblebee. They look pretty cool side by side, and it's really just up to you, of course, which deck you prefer. Definitely do prefer the wheels on this one, but I think of the overall, just all the aspects, the paint, the articulation, the details, the deco, I probably do prefer this one. But they look pretty cool side by side. And now for one final comparison, here he is with the Netflix Bumblebee. And two very classic Bumblebees side by side, looking very cool. And that is pretty much it for Optimus Prime and Bumblebee's alt modes. Let's now get down to the final thoughts. Now for the final thoughts of the Transformers Legacy Evolution Core Class Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. I think overall this is a really fun sort of upgrade kit style pack for these two Core Class figures, and actually does give you another opportunity to get both these figures because they are actually released separately. Quite a while ago, the Optimus Prime was actually from the Kingdom line. It was a mainline Core Class figure, so that one's definitely more easily and ready available for most fans or most Transformers collectors if you missed that figure. But the Bumblebee, on the other hand, actually was a Target exclusive. It was packaged with a small little spike, or I think maybe it was a Daniel Exosuit figure as well, but they did not include that figure with this pack. And I think that was actually a bit hard to track down because it was a Target exclusive. So it's actually really nice to get another opportunity to get both these figures, and they actually do have some more paint apps. It's really just, of course, a matter of painting of which, repaint or version or variation of these molds you prefer. If you prefer the original or this version, there's actually been, I think, 3 or 4 versions of this Optimus Prime. There's only been 2 of the Bumblebee, of course, this one and the original. And again, really just down to your opinion of which one you prefer. I think I actually like qualities of both of them. I probably do prefer the black tires on the original over the gray tires on Bumblebee, but I actually do prefer the brighter, lighter yellow rather than the darker one they actually put on the original. So there's things I do like about both of them. There's actually a ton of new accessories included within this pack, which is really cool to see. There's a brand new trailer, which I'm really glad. And I think there's some huge potential and a huge opportunity for them to maybe do the same style or kind of the same treatment to some other Core Class figures. Like maybe once we finally get Snarl, it's actually for pre-order right now on most sites. I think it's going to be coming out like in October or something, but maybe once that's released, maybe next year or something, whenever they do another Hasbro Pulse or Amazon exclusive, they could do another pack of like all 6 Dinobots. They could take all of the mainline molds and maybe just add a few paint apps, because that was probably one of the main problems I've had with most of the Core Class Dinobots. They just don't have enough paint, and also not enough accessories, because some of them might come with one, some of them come with none. So they could do that same treatment where they get all of them, add some new paint apps, and maybe some new accessories. I think that'd be a really good idea. Another option or idea I had is maybe they could do that with Nemesis Prime. Of course, they could just take, if you don't already know, Nemesis Prime, of course, is just another repaint of this Optimus Prime figure right here, just done in black and purple, and they could just do a new pack. Like maybe Bumblebee could be like Bug Bite, Optimus could be Nemesis Prime, and they could actually give us a more, dark evil trailer, not those light colors like black and purple. That'd be pretty cool. I would buy that. I do think the price is slightly too much for this pack. There's quite a few new accessories, the trailer, the Energon Axe, the Riot Shield. There's actually some new accessories for Bumblebee as well. I don't think this is worth $40 because you also do have to keep in mind shipping and tax. I think this is probably worth about maybe $35 to $32, because you do have to keep in mind, they're considering probably both these figures Core Class size or Core Class price point. I do consider Optimus Prime a Core Class because, of course, he was released before in the mainline as a Core Class. He was around, $12 or $15. Bumblebee, of course, was packed with another figure, and he is quite small for a Core Class. I mean, he's probably around half the size or just slightly smaller than Optimus, so he's a pretty small Core Class figure, almost, I would say, 86 Rumble size. So it's hard to justify this being worth $40 because they're pretty much saying all those added accessories are maybe worth like $15 or $10, which I really don't consider that. But as for Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, I do like all the added paint apps. I think they are more a bit more G1-y, a bit more cartoony, which I actually do like. Unfortunately, the Optimus Prime does have a bit of a defect. This could just be my copy, or it could be everyone's. I've actually seen quite a few reviews of this now, and quite a few written reviews and images, and quite a few people have actually been complaining about this. So I do think it probably is every copy. So if you do see this review and you get it, and you probably will end up having this problem. I was thinking of maybe complaining to Hasbro, or maybe I could get a replacement, but I'm pretty sure I'll just end up with the same problem, but I'll quickly explain it to you. I'll probably go in further detail of this problem a little bit early in the review if you want to see a greater detail, of course, with me actually picking up the figure. But the entire backpack, this section here is actually supposed to be a lot more clean, and interesting enough, the actually past 2 repaints or variations of this Optimus Prime mold, the Nemesis Prime and the original Optimus Prime, were actually a lot more clean. They actually did tab into place, but the entire back wheel section here is actually supposed to tab into place in like 2 or 3 different ways, and it just can't reach it. It's supposed to fold up and tab into pretty much the entire grill section from the truck mode, and it can't reach it. The hinge is like not big enough. It just doesn't hinge up far enough. So I think there's some like defect problem, like maybe they didn't mold it correctly. I really don't know. Maybe they'll actually come out with a statement. Maybe they'll let us know. Again, it could just be my copy, but I've seen quite a few reviews now, and that problem has stayed consistent with all of them. But a very minor complaint, of course. I wouldn't really say it's broken. I kind of knew this was going to happen before I even got the figure or this pack. I heard about it with several reviews again, and on most most Transformers side, so I really wasn't surprised. I'm a tad bit bummed, but I wouldn't really say it's the biggest thing in the world, because it is a core class. If this was like a mainline figure, like a leader, and had a huge defect, I would be pretty bummed, considering how expensive and big it is. It is pretty weird, though, considering, of course, the past 2 repaints and versions of this mold don't have those problems, so I was really just assuming they would use all the same pieces, of course, just with some added paint apps, so I really don't know what they changed to actually cause this problem. It's a bit weird. As far as Bumblebee goes, I've actually quite liked this Bumblebee figure. I do think maybe they could maybe do a new Bumblebee figure soon, because this mold is from Kingdom, which is like 3 or 4 years ago, so maybe in the 3rd year of Legacy Evolution, they could maybe do, or the 3rd year of Legacy, maybe they could do a new, brand new molded Bumblebee, like maybe the Volkswagen Bug, because this is supposed to be a bit more accurate to the G1 series, where it's that really, really small bug car, not like a Volkswagen Bug, it's supposed to be very small and compact. It's actually quite cute and cartoony. I do quite like that. And again, as I mentioned before, I probably do prefer the black tires on the original over the gray, but I do like the lighter shade of yellow they actually use for this figure. He does come with that same pistol, this time I think just done in kind of a lighter shade of gray before it was done in black. He also does come, I'm pretty sure they actually include this sort of more tune-accurate pistol. There's this small little black molded pistol. I'm not entirely sure what it's supposed to be. I do have some sort of a theory. I think it's probably supposed to be a more G1 accurate pistol to Bumblebee, but I could be wrong. I'll have to probably look it up on Hasbro's site. Maybe they actually say what it is, but I didn't even know it was included before I actually got this pack. I was surprised to see it. I was like, wow, that's really interesting. I think I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I think it's supposed to be a bit more of a tune-accurate, G1 accurate pistol for Bumblebee. As far as transformation goes, they're the exact same thing as their previous, counterparts, their previous repaints, so no surprise there. If this is your first time experiencing these 2 core class molds, they're actually quite fun and enjoyable. I say Bumblebee at times can be a bit finicky when transforming it from the car to the robot, because there's a few things, especially the door wings, actually kind of get caught in a few things that can be a bit fiddly at times, so I really wouldn't say they're hard or unenjoyable. I think they're actually very fun and simple transformations. They're core class figures. I think they're 11 steps each, so it's actually pretty fun to have a bit of a fiddle figure. As far as their alt modes go, of course, that entire defect where the backpack is concerned for Optimus, it really doesn't affect the truck mode at all. It's really just that mode, really just the back of the figure. So if you're wondering, oh, does it affect or mess up the truck? No, it does not. I actually do quite like the truck mode and the little bug mode. Again, it's much more compact and small, very accurate to the G1 series, because in the G1 series, Bumblebee really didn't have a Volkswagen Bug. It was a very small, tiny, really compact car. I'm not really sure if they ever said the exact car was. If it was a Volkswagen Bug, it was a very small one. Not typically how, we saw with the Bumblebee movie. It was very different from that, but I actually do quite like how small and tiny it is. I do like the bright yellow and the blue for the windows and that Autobot symbol. I actually also really do like the accessory storage. The small little pistol can actually store underneath. I do have a complaint as far as accessory storage goes, because with the entire trailer, of course, you can store all the accessories, from Optimus, his shield, his axe, his blaster, and everything. Unfortunately, you cannot store Bumblebee's blaster, which I think is a bit cheap. I really think they should have been able to fit that in somewhere. Like, all they really need to do is just add another port, and just get the weapon and store it inside. I think that would have been a really nice option. I guess they're just assuming for you to store the weapon with Bumblebee at all times, but I still think it would have been a nice option to include that. Also, the trailer does transform into some sort of kind of repair-based station mode, which is a nice feature. You can actually place Optimus there to look like he's actually getting repaired, and fixed, and you can create some really cool displays. It's a nice mode, it's kind of like the same thing they actually did with Earthrise Optimus Prime. He included a trailer, and there was some sort of kind of repair bay mode. I actually probably do like this trailer more than that one, because the Earthrise trailer was really underpainted, not a lot of sculpting and detailing. There's actually quite a bit of paint and details on this trailer for how small and, of course, for how cheap this set is. So I'm actually really glad to see that. As far as, just both modes go, they're just really fun. Of course, you can attach the trailer to Optimus Prime, which is really cool. I do like the use of the riot shield. I actually did not know when I first purchased the set, how is that going to work? How are you going to be able to attach the trailer to the back of Optimus? But it actually works in a pretty cool way, which is really good to see. So overall, I do highly recommend this set. Again, it's slightly overpriced. I'd probably price it at $35, but I think since this is a Hasbro Pulse exclusive, you really can't just say, oh, I'm going to get it from Amazon or Target. There's pretty much only one way you can get it. You can look on the aftermarket, but considering it's an exclusive, it'll be even more expensive on the aftermarket, so you might as well just get it from Hasbro, because there's really no other way. I do hope you enjoyed this review. Of course, please leave all your thoughts on this pack in the comment section below. Will you be picking it up, or will you be passing out, and do you think it's worth that $40 price tag? I think that's pretty much it, so I'll see you next time.